welcome to the Webcast for Tuesday, October 22nd. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. Visible satellite this morning still shows very little in the way of low clouds, though the marine layer is starting to rebuild up along the central coast, but it remains a slow process, and aside from a few high clouds streaming through once again, today is going to be another sunny day. Our 24-hour relative humidity change plot shows how that marine influence is beginning to redevelop, with significant increases in humidity versus yesterday across many coastal areas. But it remains a very shallow layer, and most interior areas remain quite dry. The weather is going to remain rather constant for several more days. It's a high-pressure dominated regime through Saturday, with a broad ridge of high pressure centered to our south and overall not changing a whole lot through the end of this week. Here's a look at today's forecast highs. They will be quite similar to yesterday's and about 5 to 10 degrees above normal for this time of year, with highs mainly in the 80s in the valleys and high desert. I'll show you tomorrow's numbers as well. There's very little change overall in the temperatures all the way through at least Saturday, but it does look like tomorrow will be the warmest day overall, with some of the warmer valley locations likely cracking the 90-degree mark. It remains a dry air mass. Minimum humidity will be mainly between 12 and 25% above and inland from the shallow marine layer influence today and right through the weekend, with single digits in some desert areas. There will also be some continued areas of poor recoveries in the deserts and in favored thermal belt areas. Winds will continue to remain light for the next several days as well. They will be primarily driven by local diurnal and terrain effects through at least Saturday, and wind gusts will mainly be 20 miles per hour or less. As we head towards late in the weekend and early next week, we do have some changes in store. A Pacific trough will impact the west coast during that time, which will bring significant cooling and increasing onshore flow to the region by Sunday and especially Monday. We'll continue watching the strength and trajectory of that trough, but right now it does not look like too much to write home about. There had been some earlier model projections a few days ago that showed this trough taking a much greater overwater trajectory and bringing significant rainfall to the region. However, most of the latest data suggests the trough will be a little weaker and, more importantly, will not have as much time over water. While we still can't rule out a more significant storm, this less exciting outcome would be more typical for this time of year. So right now, it looks like scattered shower activity is possible across the region from about Sunday night through Tuesday morning, but at this time, precipitation appears likely to be light and to favor the mountain areas, and it's very much doubtful whether most areas will even receive a minimal wetting rain from this storm. More likely just cooler temperatures and breezy west to northwest winds, along with a much deeper marine layer. Fuels continue to dry out across the region. We are now back above normal across the board on our ERCs. Now keep in mind that normal ERCs this time of year are much lower than they are a couple months ago, and even though we're above normal doesn't mean we're anywhere near where we were at the peak of the season. We are not. However, it is a reflection that our background fire danger does continue to run above normal. We've been pretty fortunate so far, with only one offshore wind event which followed a cooler and more moist period. But there is still a lot of potential on the landscape, and any significant offshore wind events would be bad news if they came in without any significant moisture ahead of them. In the meantime, however, the large fire threat this week remains in that low but present category due to the warm and very dry conditions, but a lack of any significant winds. With the much shorter days and cooler temperatures relative to the summer, it's tough to get significant fires without wind this time of year. But given that most fuels are receptive and only getting drier this week, there could still be rapid rates of spread on any wind and terrain-aligned starts. Expect light to moderate initial attack activity across the region through Saturday. Fire potential should decrease, at least temporarily, from Sunday into early next week as temperatures cool and RH increases. That's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. The next one will be on Wednesday, October 23rd.